Hey everybody, I'm Nick Metzler, and welcome to the Nerd Cave, and welcome to my YouTube channel. I've been wanting to do this for a long time. I used to have a movie podcast, and when I was done with that, I had this sense of this hole in my movie fandom, and I just love to share my movie fandom. So I thought that this would be a great forum to talk about movies, do some lists, and also do some recommendations. I'm a lifelong cinephile. I go to the movies at least 2 to 3 times a week, and I love everything about going to the theater and the theater experience, which has kind of faded off in recent years thanks to the pandemic, and just home entertainment options are so available. So there's a lot you can do at home, but man, I still love just going to the movie theater. I love having silly debates with my movie friends about who the best Batman is, what the best MCU movie is, what director had their best movie, what actor had their best performance in this movie. Just talking about movies and the love of movies. So I want to go back to my Gen X roots and just talk about movies like you would when you go into a video store. A video store for you kids who are younger is where you went to go get an actual physical movie and bring it home and watch it. As you can see behind me, I love physical media. I've been collecting Blu-rays and DVDs for a couple years now. Before that, I had a very big collection that I sold away because I fell under the guise of, wow, streaming will be the future. But now, with a couple things in streaming, with movies being edited to make it more appropriate, or for versions of movies to be completely lost to streaming, I thought it was important to preserve and have physical media. So you see the movie the way the director intended it, and unedited from the original theatrical edition of the movie. On this channel, we're going to be talking about general movie topics, going to movies, movie experiences. What's your favorite snack when you go to the movie? Where do you like to sit? Stuff like that. Well, I'm also going to be doing a lot of top 10 lists of my favorite parts of movies, or people in movies, or just fun topics that I thought would be fun to make a top 10 list of. All those lists will have great recommendations, and I'll also give some mini reviews of new movies that are coming out as well. I'm not going to make it too topical. I really just want this to be a fun movie blog where you could just jump in and find some recommendations, some great movies. On this channel, we won't be talking about toxic fan base stuff. I know in recent years, Star Wars, Marvel, anything with a big franchise, there's always going to be pushback and feedback about rumors or what's going on in the industry, and I'm really going to stay away from that stuff. I just want to talk about the positive, the fun of going to the movies. Also on this YouTube channel, I'm not going to be talking too much about the numbers in the industry and shop talk like that. There are a lot of great YouTube channels that will give you a rundown of the box office for the week. I'd highly recommend some people, if you want, leave a comment, and I can point you in the right direction for those type of videos. But for this, it's just about the love of movies, going to the movies. We're going to try to leave the business and the negative aspects of the movie industry out, and just talk about movies we love, man. And that's all I want to do. So for this episode, I thought it'd be fun to start out with my top 10 list of my favorite directors. So you get kind of an idea of what kind of movies I like, and directors and visions and styles that attract me to movies. All right, we're going to do my top 10 directors. Starting out at number 10, I'm going to have about a 4-way tie. These are directors that haven't had a lot of movies yet, but have really made a big splash in the industry, and they're going to hopefully continue that for years to come. First up is number 10, Mike Flanagan. He's my favorite horror director going on right now. He is hooked up with Stephen King and done some amazing adaptations. His first movie, Hush, I really enjoyed. It stars his partner, Kate Siegel, who is an amazing actress who has really popped up in a lot of his stuff. And she's also a future director as well. I love his adaptation of Dr. Sleep with Ewan McGregor. I thought it was an amazing movie that fit together Stephen King's adaptation of The Shining, the TV miniseries, and also Stanley Kubrick's The Shining, a version that Stephen King notoriously has not loved. But the fact that this movie takes both of those and the book and gives it this ending that satisfies both fans of him and Stephen King liked this idea. Makes it a great movie. Rebecca Ferguson is an amazing villain. Really great movie. Up next at number 10 as well is Damien Chazelle, a director who made a big splash with his debut Whiplash, a movie that I just cannot have. I love this movie so much. It got re-released in theaters for the 10th anniversary, and it was great to see it in the theater. The music is amazing. The tension is amazing. J.K. Simmons won Best Supporting Actor Oscar for his performance, and it's just a fantastic movie. He followed that up with La La Land, a musical that harkens back to the Technicolor days that I loved a lot. Really good movie. Can't say enough about that. He also did First Man, another movie with Ryan Gosling about Neil Armstrong. A little bit more of a solemn turn, not really anything about jazz music, his bread and butter. But then he did Babylon, a movie that is very polarizing. I thought this movie was a 5-star masterpiece. I feel like people are going to come around to it. Unfortunately, it really kind of put Damien into director jail. Hopefully, he can get out of there and make some more great movies because he is very capable of making some amazing big spectacle movies. Hope to hear more from him soon. Next up, another horror director, but a guy that has been in our lives for many years, Jordan Peele. He's 3 for 3 for movies. He did Get Out, he did Us, he did Nope. Just an amazing 3-movie start to a career, and I can't wait for more from him. He's got another movie coming out in 2026. No one knows anything about the movie, but those are the type of directors that I get excited for when it's a director that you really love. You don't really care what the movie's about. You're going to go along with him for the journey. So Jordan Peele, another great horror director, more social horror than anything, but man, he can direct a great movie. Nope was an amazing movie. If you could see it in IMAX, it was just amazing because the movie is about looking up in the sky, and the way the movie was filmed was beautiful. Another director at my number 10 spot for new up and coming directors, but have big names and we know them, but they just don't have a lot of movies in their filmography. Greta Gerwig, who did an amazing job adapting Little Women. Lady Bird, an amazing movie. I love that. I love all the movies she does. Co-writes and stars in with Neil Baumbach, just like Frances Ah. She's an amazing actress, director as well. Of course, Barbie, the huge hit from last year, and she is going on to do some more big budget Hollywood movies. Okay, up at number 9 is the Coen brothers, Joel and Ethan Coen. Joel, Ethan Coen. Boy, I can't tell them apart, but I both know they're geniuses. From Minnesota, my home state, they make amazing movies, dark comedies, dramas, you name it. No Country for Old Men is just going to be on the Criterion Collection coming up at the end of this year. A very worthy entry to that collection. The Big Lebowski, love that movie. Funny and just an amazing performance by Jeff Bridges as well. And of course, my favorite movie of theirs, and it takes place mostly in Minnesota, and that's Fargo. Just an amazing dark comedy thriller. It nails everything about being in Minnesota. Maybe not quite the accent, but you tell me. You let me know if you hear that Fargo accent from me once in a while. I try not to say you betcha too much, but you betcha I'm from Minnesota. All right, number 8 is Christopher Nolan, another director. When you just hear he has a movie coming out, you're going to go see it sight unseen. His next movie, he's got Matt Damon and Tom Holland starring in it. We still don't know anything else about it besides that, but that's all you need to know for a Christopher Nolan movie. Of course, the Dark Knight trilogy just put him on the map for mainstream A-plus blockbuster directors. The Dark Knight, of course, being the crown jewel of that trilogy, of course, with Heath Ledger's legendary performance as the Joker. Oppenheimer, of course, last year won the Oscar, and that and Barbie were the big movie stories of that year. Oppenheimer, an amazing movie, and I can't wait to see what he does next. A personal favorite of mine that I recommend is The Prestige, about dueling magicians who are trying to fight over fame and glory and trying to figure out each other's tricks. And there's a lot of twists and turns in the movie. Really got to pay attention. It's a fun little trick. Great cast. You got Hugh Jackman, Christian Bale, Scarlett Johansson, Michael Caine. Really great movie. The Prestige, my favorite of Christopher Nolan's. Up next is a director that I recently discovered in the last couple of years, being a little too young to catch his movies when they were coming out in his heyday, but movies that I've seen of his before I knew that I was a fan of his. That is Brian De Palma. Brian De Palma has directed movies that I know about, like Mission Impossible, The Untouchables, Scarface, but other movies I didn't know about were like Blowout and his other more erotic thriller type movies that are just as good as his mainstream hits as well. Blowout with John Travolta is a must see movie, amazingly done. The ending is great. I think this is one of Travolta's best performances. Untouchables, like I said, with Kevin Costner and Sean Connery, is a great gangster movie. It's a little bit more mainstream down the middle, but De Palma makes it look beautiful, makes Chicago look alive and vivid in this gangster flick. And then another movie I like kind of later in his career, Femme Fatale, with Anthony Banderas and Rebecca Romaine Stamos. Just another kind of throwback to old school De Palma, like Dress to Kill and Body Double. This one taking place in the 2000s, but a great like heist thriller, really fun movie. Suggest you check that one out as well. Number 6 is part of the Anderson group here in my top 10 list. First up is Paul Thomas Anderson, a director that has just epic scope. His movies always take on this grand scale. He doesn't quite get the commercial recognition as Christopher Nolan, but I feel like his movies can get up there in epic and in scope. Of course, the movie that made me fall in love with him was Boogie Nights. It came out in a time when I was in high school, and it was just a perfect movie for a high schooler who just loved movies. So many memorable lines, so many memorable needle drops, probably the best needle drop movie of all time, and some great performances from a very stacked cast. Like Robert Altman movies, Paul Thomas Anderson loves a big cast, and he has his usual actors that go in there, and then you have new ones that come in from time to time. And Paul Thomas Anderson and Daniel Day Lewis working together is always a great combination. Of course, There Will Be Blood, by most epic scope and looking, and just a beautiful movie if you can see it on the big screen. And his latest movie, Licorice Pizza, was a kind of a favorite of mine. It is a good complementary movie with Boogie Nights, both taking place in the Valley. This is kind of about the normal life of a person living in the Valley, and Boogie Nights, of course, is about more than an ordinary life. All right, number 5 is the other Anderson on my list, and that's Wes Anderson. When I saw a Wes Anderson movie, I think it was Rushmore was the first movie, and I didn't realize you could make movies like that or make it look so precise and don't make it look lived in or make it look however you want your world to look like. And Rushmore definitely opened my eyes to that. I love the aesthetic. I love also that how he uses all the same actors more or less. They come and go. Bill Murray, of course, being the biggest. Jason Schwartzman as well. Both stars of Rushmore. Asteroid City was his latest movie, another fun, twisty, turvy movie. He really likes to play around with narrative, especially in his second half of the career. Life Aquatic is a personal favorite of mine with Bill Murray. Willem Dafoe gives a fantastically funny performance. So does Jeff Goldblum and Owen Wilson as well. Owen Wilson also a co-writer with Wes on a lot of movies, including the fantastic Royal Tenenbaums. All right, number 4 is Martin Scorsese. What else can you say about him? He's a legend. He just does it all. He could do gangster. He could do religious movies. He could do dark comedy. He could pretty much do it all. Goodfellas, of course, is probably the movie that I knew about growing up. When I finally got to watch it, I couldn't believe it. My mind was blown. The way that the movie starts from a kid gangster going all the way to the end to being a paranoid family man at the end with the helicopters flying all around. Goodfellas, just an amazing movie. Wolf of Wall Street is another favorite of mine. Leonardo DiCaprio or Robert De Niro. He's got two muses. Both of those actors are amazing, and it's just amazing the partnership he did with both those actors. And it was fantastic to see all three of them together in Killers of the Flower Moon, the latest movie from Scorsese, which is an amazing movie. And then another personal favorite of mine is his dark comedy from the 80s, After Hours. It's on the Criterion Collection. Just a fun, trippy movie. It's all takes place in one night. Those type of movies really scratch an itch for me that I really enjoy. If you ever had a wild night out where weird things just keep happening, that's this movie. So really enjoy After Hours. Check that one out. All right, and number three is, these are the cream of the crop. These are my favorite. Number three, David Fincher. What an amazing director. I love his mood. I love his style. I love that he goes back to the serial killer or the killer genre so many times, but he always finds a new and interesting way to tell that story. Seven, of course, is the movie that put him on the map. Alien 3 is a legendary production just because of all the problems he had, but usually your first movie, you can have problems like that. I'm so happy that he stuck with it because he's become one of the best directors in today. So Seven is great. Of course, The Social Network, a movie that is just, I love this movie. It's amazing. It's almost filmed like a serial killer movie, but it's more about this man who's so ambitious. And knowing what we know now about Mark Zuckerberg, this movie definitely needs a sequel. Hopefully Fincher and Aaron Sorkin can work together to make a sequel. That would be pretty amazing. Probably most anticipated movie for me for a long time. And another movie I really loved of his was Zodiac, the tale about the true serial killer, the Zodiac killer in San Francisco and California. And I just love this movie. I love the mood of it. I love the cast. And there's so much to dive into. I love the open-endedness of it. You don't know what is going on, but you also are looking at a beautiful, beautiful movie. So Zodiac, really recommend that one. That's probably my favorite of Fincher's. Number two is The Godfather of the Blockbuster. Probably the reason why I have this room, this nerd cave, why I have that Jurassic Park thing right there. It's Steven Spielberg, of course. He's the man. He started out the blockbusters. Jaws ushered in this age of blockbusters. And of course, with the help of George Lucas and Star Wars, I don't think movie fandom would be as huge or big and as popcorn as it is without Steven Spielberg. Catch Me If You Can is a great movie I love of his. It's a very fun family movie. I don't tend to go to the mushy family movies, but Spielberg can write some really good family movies, of course, throughout the years. And my favorite movie of all time, it's Jurassic Park. It's the reason I love movies. On a upcoming episode of the show here, I'm going to talk about some of my favorite movie memories about going to the movies. And the Jurassic Park one is, of course, a great story that I have with my dad taking me that I will save for another podcast. Number one is Quentin Tarantino. Once I realized what movies were with Spielberg and the blockbusters, then I saw Pulp Fiction and I realized you could take movies, twist them inside out, flip them around, twist them around, remix them, and make them your own, but still pay homage to the past and making it wholly original. And that's Quentin Tarantino. Pulp Fiction is an amazing second movie. Reservoir Dogs, great movie as well. But Pulp Fiction, man, whew, it took the movie industry by storm. And the 90s, the early 90s were such a amazing time for movies with Jurassic Park, Pulp Fiction, Forrest Gump. Just so many movies in that little time. And I was 12, 13 years old during these years. And it just left a huge impression on me. And that's probably the reason why I have a lot of these movies in the 90s. One of my favorite decades for movies. Probably just because of my age, but still, man, gotta love a Quentin Tarantino movie. Inglourious Bastards is one of my personal favorites. You can see my Shoshana poster right there. I love that movie. Christoph Waltz was a revelation in that movie, speaking so many languages and being great and fantastic in all of them. Brad Pitt being hilariously funny, and all of the Inglourious Bastards being a riot. Such a great movie. Such a fun concept to take a historical event and make it and fictionalize it. They've been doing that in books for years and years, and it was fun to see it done right in movies. Really fun time. He does that a couple more times in his movies as well. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood being one of those, how he takes the Manson murders, kind of flips it on its head, and writes a love letter to Hollywood. And it's probably one of my favorite movies of the last 10 years. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is just such a fun hang, such a fun time, great cast. I thought Brad Pitt was phenomenal in this. Leo is going for it. I love how he just plays this washed up Western TV actor, still trying to make it in the business and still loving Hollywood. I love how excited he is that he's next door to Roman Polanski, and how he's just connected to Hollywood even though he might not be on the top of the heap. Love that movie. Fantastic movie. All right, that was my top 10 list of directors. Let me know in the comments if there's another director that you really love. I have so many more directors. I feel like I'm more of a director first movie guy than an actor first. If the director's good, that's my gateway in, and it really just opens your mind up to other directors. Well, if you like Paul Thomas Anderson, you're going to love Robert Altman. Go back and watch Robert Altman. If you like David Fincher, you're going to want to check out some Hitchcock. Go back and check out Hitchcock. And I could go on. And that's what's so great about movies is it's never an A to B line. It could go A, B, C, D, and you could get there. And movies are fun that way. So like I said, this YouTube channel is just going to be about the love of movies. Bear with me with my editing, with my audio, with all that kind of stuff. I'm still working out the kinks. I saw on YouTube, I did a lot of research about how to start a YouTube channel, and their number one rule was just start posting, just start with it. I did a lot of preparing before this first episode just to get started because I really wanted to have a nice feel to this channel, but I'm going to always improve, and I hope you guys will stick around with me. Please like and subscribe, pass it along to friends, and use this channel as a nice reference for recommendations or just a nice safe space to talk about movies. All right, that's going to do it for Nerd Cave Cinema. Thank you for watching my first episode. I'm going to come out with these videos hopefully once a week with my top 10 list, some recommendations, and some overall movie talk about just going to the movies. Miles makes a little appearance here from time to time. You'll see him pop up. He's my movie buddy here when we're at home. And again, we'll see you next week. Thanks.